Welcome to this February edition of Local Image and our first new show of the new year. We're celebrating 10 years of producing Local Image in 2012, and today's first segment is a great way to kick off the celebration. February is American Heart Month, and one very big event is taking place later this month. A benefit concert for heart health awareness is happening at First Avenue in Minneapolis. The Benefit to Benefit Life concert features a rare reunion of The Revolution. Yes, that Revolution, the band made famous with Prince back in the early 80s. And I have the doctor in the house to tell us more about it, Matt Fink, keyboardist with The Revolution. Welcome, Matt. So glad to have you here today.
Thanks, Judy. My pleasure to be here today.
I have so much I want to talk to you about, but let's focus on this benefit concert. Tell folks why this is happening. It's such a rare thing for this band to be together. Why is it so special? Why is it happening?
Well, back in early February of 2011, our original drummer, Bobby Z. Rivkin, unfortunately suffered a very severe heart attack. And it was very touch and go, and we almost lost him.
Right.
But fortunately, he's
still with
on the mend. He's still with us, and they got him through it. The doctors did a wonderful job for him. And they approached him a few months ago about doing this special event to bring awareness to heart disease and all that.
Cool.
So we all agreed to get on board with him and do this special event. You know, we're already talking about doing some additional events like this in other cities for the Heart Association.
That is so cool. And who is all going to be there that night? Will Prince make an appearance?
We hope so.
Yeah.
He's aware of it. He's been totally positive about it. I know that he's going to be donating some sort of funding to the event.
Very
I don't
cool.
know if he'll make it there physically yet or not.
Right.
We're hoping he will. All the original members of the Revolution will be there, of course. Wendy Melvoin on guitar, Lisa Coleman, our other keyboardist, Mark Brown on bass, Bobby, of course, and Eric Leeds on sax.
Yes, very neat. I mean, that's just exciting for all of us fans and new fans as well.
Yeah.
You know, what can people expect to see happening that night?
Well, we're going to perform some of the hits of those days in the 80s, and we're also going to be doing some material that may not have been as well known.
Very cool.
Things that we wrote together as a band, and then there will be some storytelling.
Very intimate kind of setting.
Very intimate setting, yes.
What have you been doing to prepare for that on your end? How have you got your head into the game?
Well, fortunately for me, I formed another band a little over a year ago called the Purple Experience.
Exactly.
Which has members who are part of the Minneapolis music scene and also work with affiliated Prince artists. And we are doing a Prince tribute act called, as I said, the Purple Experience. And we've just begun doing some shows around the country, special events at casinos and corporate events and things like that. And it's going quite well so far.
Awesome.
And for me, I've been brushing up on the material so that's helped me.
Yes.
So I've been able to perform a lot of these songs again.
Talk a little bit about your days with the Revolution, with Prince. What was that like? Give everyone kind of an inside look to that.
I suppose you'd like to know how I met Prince, or
yes,
how
to start with, that would be awesome.
Well, long about 1977, Bobby Rivkin came to me with Prince's demo tape because Bobby's older brother, David, who's a great studio recording engineer and producer himself, was working with Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Prince's manager at that time went to David and said, hey, we want to make a demo for this kid, and he plays all the instruments, and then we're going to take it out to LA and see if we can get him a record deal. So right before they went out to Los Angeles, Bobby brought me the demo to listen to, and I was, fascinated by it, of course, and I said, oh, who's the band? And he said, well, it's not really a band, it's all this kid named Prince, he did everything. And
wow.
I go, really? He played all the instruments and sang and wrote it? And he goes, yeah. I go, how old is he? He goes, well, he's your age. And we're at the same time, the same age. So I said, well, well, let me know if anything happens with it, because I'd love to meet him, and I'd be very interested in working with him.
And you were already well on your way. I mean, you
Yeah.
started performing when you were like 13.
I did. I started working in my own band at even barely before I was 13, and then went all the way through junior high and high school. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I was already touring around the Midwest with a couple different groups, actually. In fact, one of the groups was from White Bear Lake.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, in fact, they were called the Beartown Rockets.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, a bunch of White Bear Lake guys, except me. I was from St. Louis Park, and I'd drive, the 40 minutes to rehearsal quite a bit into White Bear.
Very cool.
But anyway, and I'm still friends with all those guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, so about a year later, once Prince was signed to Warner Brothers, I approached Bobby again and said, well, what's going on with this guy? And he goes, well, unfortunately, he wanted to work with this one other keyboard player, and we brought him on board already. I go, oh, that's too bad. And then the door opened up again a few months later when that keyboardist went off to do something else.
Right.
And so the auditions reopened, and I was brought on board. I was fortunate enough for Prince to like what I was doing, and he brought me on board at that point. And this was November of '78.
Wow.
I worked with him for 12 years. So,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
a really great relationship.
And then comes Purple Rain.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was a game changer. Talk about what that had to be like for you at that time.
It was a dream come true, because that was really the penultimate goal, was to be able to do things like that with the group. Even if we hadn't done a movie, we were already at that point after the 1999 hit.
Yeah.
And, we were doing quite well as a group. But and actually, when Prince went to Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, I really want to do a movie," and kind of based loosely on my life and growing up in the Twin Cities and all that, they didn't really quite embrace it heavily right away. They thought, well, this is pretty risky. You're not that well known yet. I mean, you're not that big. I don't know. What do you think we should do? Basically, they went to Prince's management and said, look, if you guys can front part of the money, we'll foot part of the bill, and we'll try to keep the budget down and see if we can make this fly. And they went along with it, and it became a success. So,
oh my gosh.
Sometimes you just have to take those chances and see what happens.
What was the idea behind the doctor motif, the scrubs look? How did that evolve? Because you used to wear a different kind of look, a jailbird look or something.
Yeah, in the first really year and a half of the group, we were all kind of struggling to find an image of some kind of.
Dr. Fink on keyboards.
Prince's second album had come out, and we were put on tour with Rick James at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he did this song called Bustin' Out of L7, which was off his current album at that time. So he'd come out on stage in a jail outfit that he could tear off during the show.
Okay.
And Prince realized that he's wearing that jail suit, and so was I, and he came to me, he said, he's the headliner. I think you're going to have to change your image, and he's wearing that. I go, well, did Rick come to you and say complain or something? He goes, well, no. I said, okay, and I threw out about 3 or 4 ideas of what I'd thought of before the jail suit. I said, how about a guy in a doctor suit? And he immediately, the light bulb went over his head, and he goes, I think that's it.
What do you think really kind of helped you stay connected to him? Because my understanding is, he's a challenging person to work with. So was it more of the professional or a friendship level? What kind of kept you guys connected?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everyday stuff.
Yep. We got along really well.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Of course, with any employee kind of thing, or where he's the lead, he has his vision.
Right.
There were a few times when I maybe didn't always agree with things, but I just really enjoyed it.
You just connected. You guys had a connection.
Absolutely.
He obviously, the whole band had such an influence on music here in the Twin Cities, the Minneapolis sound, whatever you want to call it. How does that, do you think, impact music today?
Well, for instance, I went to see Justin Timberlake in concert back in '07, and he was definitely using Minneapolis influence in his music, no question. And there was even some keyboard work that he was doing that was reminiscent of what we used to do back in those days. So, and he's just one of many that
Right.
have brought back a lot of that style into their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a son, he's 16, he's
Yep.
definitely following in his dad's
Yes,
footsteps,
he's playing keyboards as well and singing,
and his band is
His
Cue the
Cue the Click.
and they actually had a gig with the Minnesota Zoo. The Penguin Waddle song was
yes,
what
they
did.
did the marketing video for
Yeah.
the new penguin exhibit, which opened last summer.
And I'm sure he's going to do as good, or I don't know, it'll be tough to top Dad's, record.
You never know, though.
You don't know.
I mean, for their age, I think they're
Yeah.
definitely ahead of the curve, and I think they're going to turn some heads here in the near future.
You guys will be turning heads at First Avenue
Yeah.
on February 19th for the Benefit to Benefit Life concert. I'm so looking forward to that. I've got my ticket, so I'm excited. Well, Matt, thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on the show, and we'll look forward to the concert, and I'm sure it'll raise some great awareness for Heart Health Month. Now, continuing with our Heart Month theme, we turn to those affairs of the heart and welcome another doctor to the program, psychologist and author Brenda Schaefer. Dr. Schaefer has appeared on a variety of national television and radio shows, as well as being featured in a variety of magazines. She is author of the bestseller, Is It Love or Is It Addiction? And Love's Way, among several others. So get ready to take some love notes as I welcome Brenda Schaefer to the program.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Brenda.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming out here to White Bear Lake. Let's start out with the basics. What is love?
That's a very important question. And contrary to what a lot of people think, is love is not a relationship. It's not dependency. It's not sex. It's not romance. It's not a feeling.
Oh my gosh.
It's not a thought. It can't be earned. It can't be learned. And in essence, it is already. And that you do not need to be in a relationship to be in love. I mean, you
Okay.
can be holding your newborn. You can be out in nature. The important thing is that you have an open heart. But since so many hearts have been injured, we both want to open our hearts and we're reluctant to.
And that is probably the key. If we didn't have these kind of injuries growing up in life,
Yes.
we probably would be so much more
Yes.
open to
Yes.
love. You are an addiction specialist, and you talk a lot about love addiction. What is that exactly?
Love addiction is any time we're looking outside of ourselves to satisfy our hunger for security, sensation, power, identity, a sense of belonging, and avoid fear. And what we do is we collude with other people, unknowingly, by the way,
Okay.
to meet their needs, so maybe they'll take care of us. And it's so subtle. And most of what we see in our culture and on television and in our families is what I call love addiction, which can be anything from a mild codependency to a fatal attraction.
Wow. So now, most of us have experienced that euphoria in the early love relationship, that feeling. Is that addictive? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, it can be, and I want to say to your audience that sex, love, and romance are delightful aspects of our humanity and a part of the mating. We need to be sexually aroused. Of course, we can be sexually aroused by many people, many images, so that does not necessarily mean that we're in love. And that's one part of the brain, and then we want to focus on narrowing it down to one romantic object. And when we're in a sexual high or a romantic high, there are literally hundreds of chemicals going off in
Sure.
our brain, so that we stay in love long enough to bond with this person, which is the last stage.
Okay.
And they're bonding chemicals as well. And then nature takes care of itself, and the high will wane. We cannot possibly tolerate that high. It
For a
would
long
ruin
time.
us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how do we then maintain loving relationships? I mean, once we kind of fall in love, and you said love just exists, and then maybe we get married or we want to have this long-term relationship. But then all these struggles come into play. So,
Yes.
so how do we maintain a loving relationship? What are some good things that we should be doing?
Well, you mentioned something important, and that is how to keep it alive, because we have these two polar opposites. We have this desire to have home, to have security, to feel safe, and we want adventure. And so a healthy relationship is aware of that. And what I tell people is never become boring.
Okay.
And do adventures. And I think you have to create environments that are conducive to romance. And what happens in relationships after the high goes away,
Right.
then people get into routines, and then other things come in their life. There's work, there's children, there's other distractions.
Absolutely, yeah. So what are some tips that you would highly recommend besides, being adventurous? I mean, are there just like day-to-day things that we should be doing in our love relationships?
Yes. The most important thing is that you feel safe in a relationship. And that means safe to be who you are, safe to have your feelings, safe to ask for what you need, safe to disagree. Okay. And to have some rules around that so it's done sanely and safely. Another thing that I think happens in what I call love addiction is that we're always power struggling and trying to change the other person to be something we think we need them to be. So acceptance of differences. And we liked those when we were newly in love.
Right.
Of course, we showed our virtues when we were in love,
Right,
newly
right.
in love, and then the vices show up. So I think good conflict resolution. The other thing is, I say that in a healthy relationship, there are three entities, a I, a you, and a we. And the we can only be as healthy as the I and the you. And I think a healthy relationship is when two people understand they don't have all the tools. They're not perfect. They're not going to do it perfectly. And to be able to admit that and not blame the other person for whatever is going wrong, and to be willing to take a look at, why do I do these things?
Right, right.
And to be committed to getting help if you need it.
That is a big one, isn't it? Just to recognize if you need some help, there's
Right,
so much out
right.
there. Obviously, doctors like yourself and your books, you would highly recommend that people seek that out.
Exactly. I look at a relationship like a 100-piece puzzle. We're lucky to get 10, 20, 30 of those pieces, and some of them are dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So how can we possibly do it? And yet it can be an adventure in itself. It can be exciting to get to know your partner in a deeper way.
Yeah.
And we also need to take a look at our role models. Very often they were not healthy, and yet we do the very things because our brain absorbs that information.
Yeah. I know several folks who are looking to get married in the near future. What are some things that folks who are, couples that are looking to, unite in marriage, for example, what are some things that they should be kind of asking each other right now or looking at and be aware of? Because, again, they're in that euphoric kind of stage. So what would you say?
I think one of the most important things is to check out what is the person's image of the relationship down the line. People rarely talk about it, and you have these secret images that you hope will be realized, and when they don't, that's when you try to change the other person, you get angry at the other person, and they've never talked about what it is they envisioned together.
What's the one thing you would say to anyone, looking to have a loving relationship? What, besides just Valentine's Day, what should we do?
Well, I like Valentine's Day because it gives us permission to say I love you. And oftentimes we don't say that enough. And to realize that love is, as I said, much bigger than romance or sex or dependency. And it's a deep, heartfelt experience. And so express it any way you can. Appreciate the people you love. We always seem to notice their downside, but how often do we say, I love you, I appreciate what you do for me?
Very good information. And if people want to learn more, is there a website that you'd like to point them to for yourself?
Yes, it's www.itsallaboutlove.com or www.loveaddiction.com.
Very good. Thank you so much
You're
for this
welcome.
great information, and I hope everyone has a lot of love to
Yes,
give and get
they
this
do.
month and every day. Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate it. Last spring, we brought you the story of a couple of retired 3M inventors who created the solar pasteurizer, a device aimed at helping countries like Haiti utilize the resource of sun to help provide clean drinking water. This past December, the inventors, Bill Stevenson and Bob Nepper, took part in the 3M Innovation Conference held at the Prom Center in Oakdale. The two set up their solar water pasteurizer during the Sales for Social Impact seminar and then listened to proposals made by college students from around the country on how they would market this new device.
Now, our solution that lies in Aquatherm.
Plan, develop, and also implement comprehensive.
The first one is a psychological pricing strategy.
Profit, you have planet, and you have the people.
It's just basically a chain reaction of new ideas. That's what it is. And so in a way it has its own kind of magic to it.
Clean water.
All this energy from students, engaging with 3M business leaders, engaging with 3M retired inventors. I just think it's phenomenal.
Will help provide clean water as well as insight economic development within the country so it can be able to perform to its potential.
Today, the students, they've been working on a semester project. And so today they're able to come up to St. Paul and present to other students as well as to executives at 3M.
And our reason for being here is because we would like to present Aquatherm as a solution to the water crisis in the country of Liberia. We came up with a feasibility study to deploy a water pasteurizer that was made by retirees of 3M, the inventors of it.
These two gentlemen were inventors at 3M, but they didn't stop there upon retirement. So instead, they continued, with their invention endeavors. And this time, though, again, with a focus on addressing, societal needs.
But we did it, shall we say, humanitarian mostly, because we knew there was a very great need for it.
In the country of Liberia, 3 or 4 people don't have access to clean water.
And I remember, calling Bob Nepper on the phone and asked if they'd be interested in allowing universities the opportunity to really develop a curricula around their invention. And they were so excited about it, which of course I was thrilled.
It's a solar water pasteurizer, and in rural areas, they don't have access to electricity. So they're using natural energy, which is a green product.
The students did much better than I thought they would.
Thank you very much.
The discussion was business-wise much more higher than I'm used to thinking, because I know that marketing is usually a problem for anything we've done.
It's part of my major. I'm a business. I'm marketing. I'm supposed to be able to see things that aren't there yet and be able to make them realities. And with this feasibility plan, it can actually become a reality.
I mean, we've done the study, the research, and we know firsthand that it's feasible. Now the only thing left to do is, go out and execute it and make it happen. That's why we're here.
The corruption, the bloodshed, and the water crisis still exists. It's hard to just leave it as just a project that we were doing for 3M. Right? It's actually feasible and it actually can be implemented, so we should take those steps to be able to help Liberia.
So hopefully by April, they'll have a capitalization plan in place and, have some job descriptions written and ready to proceed.
That's what we want to be able to provide students, opportunities to grow and develop and apply their learning. And so I think the universities and 3M have set out to accomplish what we had hoped to do.
And we just tried to see if we could do it. My gosh, we can.
Today's final local image segment welcomes guests Pat Harris and Bill Fassard to our studio. They're here to tell us about another great event happening this month, one that serves up a long-distance dinner between our Minnesota National Guard soldiers serving in Kuwait and their loved ones holding down the home front here in Minnesota. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
It's great being here.
This is an exciting event, and this is the 9th time that this has happened, is that right?
That's correct.
What is the Serving Our Troops organization? Tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
You know, it started back in 2004, where a bunch of us were together at Mancini's in St. Paul, and we just thought it wasn't fair for us to be at Mancini's and our soldiers couldn't be there as well and couldn't have dinner with their families. So in 2004, we just decided we were going to do dinner with the family for our Minnesota National Guard members and other soldiers, and we've now completed 8 projects.
Wow.
And each project is a little different, but it all comes down to the same couple of things, which is a fabulous meal for our soldiers and our families, you know, a great message from Minnesota, from the businesses like Bill Foussard and other folks in Minnesota that say thank you.
And we care.
Absolutely.
How many dinners have been served in all this time?
Well, we've done 55,000 dinners since we
goodness.
started, and we're going to do about 17,000 this time because we serve the families back at home, the soldiers overseas. We live video link the entire thing.
That's awesome.
And then we also serve the other soldiers that the Minnesotans are deployed alongside overseas. And so it's a very large dinner operation that we're doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the best Western Union in the country end is really important to this project, and all of our businesses are important to this project because of a couple of things, is that they provide financial resources which are incredibly important. You know, we have great sponsors like Delta and RBC and XL, and we've got a lot of folks out there, like folks like Bill.
The whole program costs like $125,000.
Now, do I have this right that some folks are actually going to Kuwait to serve the meals there? Is that how this works?
There's 50
does
people going to Kuwait.
Okay.
And at the same time in St. Paul, they'll be serving another 4,000 meals downtown St. Paul.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And so you're going to Kuwait?
Yes.
Bill will be behind a grill, I can tell you that, and a soldier will probably come up to him and say, I will take mine medium rare.
Oh, that is
and,
awesome.
we just hope he serves it up medium rare. We know he will.
Whatever way.
Yes. Are they taking turns kind of talking with their loved ones overseas? How does it happen?
You know, it's a pretty complicated project, and it has evolved over time with technology, and we will have about 3,000 families at the River Center in St. Paul, and they will take turns and talk to their soldiers at multiple locations over in Kuwait.
What do you need? What can we do to help make sure this happens this month and then in the future as
We
well?
really need funding.
Okay.
You know, the whole program costs $125,000. You have larger companies like you said, Delta and 3M Foundation, people that have been helping that way. A lot of small businesses help. We still got to raise, I'd say, $35,000.
Okay.
All the volunteers that come on our project pay a significant charge to be a part of it. So they're funding
Cover their own
costs
costs to
and things.
travel and everything else.
And you know, people can go to our website at servingourtroops.com to make a donation or to learn more about the project.
Thank you so much for all the work that you guys are putting in on this. That's great, and our troops deserve it, and I know they do appreciate that, so best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that does it for this February Heart Month edition of Local Image. Please contact us with your comments and story ideas by visiting our website or Facebook page. Until next month, keep your heart healthy and show the love today and every day. And I do thank you for watching Local Image.